many years later, in 2013, this is now around 10 years after the fact, 9 years after that time, I am still totally atheist. My career is going well and life's moved on. I'm married. And I start seeing all this stuff on like news, magazine, Business Week, online, and documentaries about all this neuroscience research on the benefits of mindfulness. You've probably heard of that. It was so in a few years ago, maybe it still is. And I decided to give it a try. And I got into Buddhist meditation, but very secular, none of that wishy-washy stuff, all based on modern scientific theory. And I started to train my mind on single-pointed awareness and deliberate attention, focus on my breath. And I did this every day. And I read all that I could about on the research of neuroplasticity, neurogenesis. I really got dorky with it. After about a year of daily practice, I really noticed massive benefits. I'm not going to get into all of that. I mean, you can Google it and YouTube it, but many emergent phenomenon can be realized. It's pretty cool. I was by no means a Buddhist at this time. I was just dabbling in different philosophies, and both from the Greco-Roman canons and Far East wisdom teachings. And I found it interesting. Given my highly technical background, I didn't have much exposure to that kind of stuff, so it hit me at a right time in life, and it had its massive value to sort of generate a reflective understanding as to what you're doing in life. Maybe even generate a understanding of purpose. Anyways, a few years went by. I'm still doing this mindfulness, 10-15 minutes every day in the mornings before I do my morning exercise and go to work. And I would apply it, before I go into meetings, before I have important presentations at work, stressful situations with clients, whatever. I would apply a little bit of mindfulness, and I would ground myself, and it really, really worked. Nothing mystical, nothing weird. I didn't read any esoteric mystical Buddhism. I just read some I read some books by some more well-known Western authors from a very secular atheist point of view on their experience with Buddhist philosophy, like the Four Noble Truths, things like that. And of course, a lot of the research done by guys like Richie Davison from the University of Wisconsin, and how his work was connected with, Tibetan meditators, and how he'd done EKG scans and fMRI scans of their brains during very specific meditation techniques. And I read about the research where they applied it to high stress operatives, whether it be I think it was Navy SEALs and PTSD, people diagnosed with PTSD, or whether it was, people with childhood stress issues and blah, blah, blah. And I was really blown away, and of course it was self-indicating with what I experienced in my own life. And few years like that. Really cool. Still atheist, nothing weird. And then a few years downstream, I have a health threat that puts me very close with my own mortality. I don't want to share too many details, but it put me through a certain type of existential crisis. I felt that it was time to get very reflective on our temporary existence. And I'd seen a lot of documentaries about the benefits of meditation retreats. In this case specifically, it was something called Vipassana meditation retreats, which is insight meditation, very strict to the original methodology that was taught by Siddhartha Gautama once he reached enlightenment. And I started to read a little bit more on the Buddhism plus, you know, not the reduced, secularized Buddhist understanding that is more popular with the atheists, Buddhist atheists in the West, but rather some of the more flavorsome kind, resembling more of a religion, with some mystical beliefs for sure, a whole cosmology and everything, and it's out there. It starts talking about multidimensional beings, maybe even aliens in a more contemporary context, because it is, I mean, they're always trying to anchor themselves in a modern relevance, right? So now that the discussion of potential intelligent beings on different planets or hive minds from biological systems like mycelial networks and the intelligence of plants, you know, that kind of stuff. How aware are other beings even in our own biological backyard? I was really geeking out, I was really getting down with that. But anyways, this is where things start getting pretty weird. So I don't know how to ease into it gently, because it happened so abruptly for me as well. And it took me a very long time to digest it, because, you know, when you experience that the world is doing things that it was never supposed to do, and you're trained to be one of those people that are supposed to be at the pinnacle of sort of like knowledge of our time, and then that just sort of proves to be like turned on its head, like literally upside down. Well, it kind of messes with your brain a little bit, and you know, I wasn't really able to go talk to any of my friends because they're not gonna be down with this stuff, man. No way. But anyways, so it's hard to tell. I remember things were getting weird, experientially weird, before I started reading about this stuff. That was obvious, right? Like, one of them was like all these altered conscious states. And again, it's kind of useless to try to verbalize and explain unless you're just talking to people that have experienced it themselves, and then you can create a language of a certain type of abstraction that could capture these things in a reasonably constructive manner, so that the people of experience can say, oh yeah, I think I know what you're on about. Or at least you have somebody that's been a meditation teacher for ages that can really guide you through that discussion, because it's kind of like me trying to talk about things that I don't know much about, let's say it that way. I don't know the words to use. They say that the ones that have experienced can only truly communicate with other experiencers because it's the experience base that makes the understanding click, and anything else will sort of sound silly. And I totally understand why they say that now. you're never going to appreciate a good poem through the lens of hardcore grammar analysis. You're going to know, you're going to be able to share in its sort of beauty with the people that have read it and had that transcendent experience. So it's a bit like that. But they're weird and crazy enough to warrant a review of at least, quote unquote, the status quo in terms of where people want to put people's mind states in society, right? Like why is it that certain types of worldviews are not only discouraged, but kind of suppressed deliberately? Like, it seems most people are just constantly distracted